Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koramore Thoma Bina Kedayalo Jagata Samsare Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatara Mo Sama Patita Prabhu Napai Beara Ha ha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripa Bolo Kana Koro Ami Boro Duki Toya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Gosai Ta Tava Kripa Bole Pai Chaitanya Nitai Ha Ha Svarup Sanatana Rupa Raghunata Bhata Yuga Shri Jiva Ha Prabhu Lokanath Doya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Daya Koro Shri Acharya Ramachandra Sangamaje Narottama Das Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koramore Homa Bina Kedayalo Jagata Samsare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. My dear Lord Chaitanya, please be merciful to me, because who can be more merciful than your Lordship within these three worlds? Your incarnation is just to reclaim the fallen conditioned souls, but I assure you that you will not find a greater fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. My dear Lord Nityananda, you are always joyful in spiritual bliss. Since you always appear very happy, I have come to you because I am most unhappy. If you kindly put your glance over me, then I may also become happy. My dear Advaita Prabhu, husband of Sita, you are so kind. Please be merciful to me. If you are kind to me, naturally, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda will also be kind to me. O Svarup Damodar, personal secretary of Lord Chaitanya, all six Goswamis, Sri Sanatan Goswami, Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Sri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Sri Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and Sri Jiva Goswami, O Lokanath Goswami, my beloved spiritual master, I pray for your mercy also. O Srinivasacharya, successor to the six Goswamis, please be merciful to me. Narottam Das always desires the company of Ramachandra Chakravarti. Who can be more merciful than your lordship? Actually, this is a fact. Rupa Goswami prayed, my dear Lord, you are the most munificent of all incarnations, because you are distributing love of Krishna, Krishna consciousness. Please be merciful to me. You are so magnanimous because you have seen the fallen souls of this age. So we can think of Lord Chaitanya, he's in West Bengal. There was no Bangladesh, 500 years ago, and the only real contentious adversaries to deal with was the Muslim government, which was more or less allowing the religion of the people to go on, and perhaps equal, if not worse, than the Muslim subjugation was the caste Brahmanas, the caste Goswamis, who they took offense to Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement, that this is going to spoil our business, this is going to spoil our hold all over the people. And they complained to the Muslim government, you have to do something about this Sankirtan movement. But ultimately, Lord Chaitanya very quickly subdued both of those adversaries, and things were going on very nicely. But now, in this Kali Yuga, things have so much progressed. People are lower than animals in their general behavior, their thinking. If they are thinking, what are they thinking about? Thinking about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and lust, greed, anger, envy, illusion, madness, intoxication really isn't considered thinking. That's just more or less instinctual push of the modes of material nature. Prabhupada describing Ajamil coming upon, in bygone days, coming upon the road and seeing a Sudra and a prostitute having animalistic affairs right in front of him. Now that is a common thing that you see anywhere and everywhere. It wasn't just an isolated incident as it was so many millions of years ago. There's a statement by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, which is from an article he entitled Kali, which in Gaudiya magazine, so I guess that was published by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Anyway, Kali is such an unrighteous friend and harmful enemy of the conditioned soul that during his reign he does not allow anyone to remain fixed in the pure religious system of Sankirtan. So Prabhupada said, don't be surprised who leaves, be surprised who stays. You got to have staying power, right? Train up. Srila Prabhupada, at the onset of meeting his spiritual master, I accepted him immediately, not officially, you know. In fact, even after he was officially initiated, he was considered by his godbrothers to be in a lower status. And except for a few, all throughout his life, even up to the very last, he didn't have the cooperation or support of his godbrothers, more or less, practically speaking. But he was the chosen one. After Ban Maharaj came back from London unsuccessfully, more, practically speaking, still, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was intensely desirous to have successful preachers go to the West. And at that time, London was the top dog, was the West. And he was asking, should Maharaj to go? Should Maharaj humbly begged, I don't have the outward nature, I won't be successful. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta let him off the hook. He asked, I forget his name. He was a brahmachari at the time, and he begged, I can't be so far away from your lotus feet, Guru Maharaj, I won't be able to prevail. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, and our Srila Prabhupada, who was simply a Bhayacharan or Aravinda Das at the time and was not present, he said, that is all right. Abhay Charan Aravinda, he will go and he will do everything. Not officially. We don't need an official mandate, an official rubber stamp, or so-called official recognition. It is an affair of the heart. When the heart accepts the order of the bona fide spiritual master, and you take it as your life and soul, nothing can stop you. Nothing and no one. He does not allow anyone to remain fixed in the pure religious system of Sankirtan. Sankirtan has been glorified as the only means of deliverance in this age of Kali. So, Lord Chaitanya's order, the Sankirtan movement, engage and distribute pure devotional service, is the order to everyone. So the ambitious cooperative effort to make a worldwide movement of cooperating devotees to enact this mission is the essence and meaning of Sankirtan, means cooperative, congregational glorification of the holy name of Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada came back to India triumphant and successful, and everyone was in a state of wonder and astonishment, how did you do it? One of the main and repeated things that Srila Prabhupada said, I sat down under a tree in Tompkinson Square Park and just simply chanted for 3 hours, and young boys and girls gradually came, and they multiplied and multiplied and multiplied. And Prabhupada repeated the same procedure in arguably, seemingly much more incredible results, Hippie Hill in Golden Gate Park. Dayananda Prabhu, who was just here recently, and he was present at that time, said that the hippies, or the young people at the time, completely anti-establishment, anti-authority, do your own thing, anti-religion, more or less rejecting, the common religions of the day, the Judeo-Christian religion. And the Dayananda said they accepted Hare Krishna as the unofficial, but within their heart, religion of the hippies. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pasita Deshta. Just here. I'm going to jump around, and you just to glue your eyeballs and read words that I'm already saying in the midst of me explaining it. Could be, back when I was your age, we never had such screens. It was just hear and concentrate on what's being said. My dear child, continue dancing, chanting, and performing Sankirtan in association with devotees. Furthermore, go out and preach the value of chanting Krishna Nam. For by this process, you will be able to deliver all the fallen souls. Purport. It is another ambition of the spiritual master to see his disciples not only chant, dance, and follow the regular principles, but also preach the Sankirtan movement to others in order to deliver them. So Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, you have seen the fallen conditioned souls of this world. Yes. So we're seeing everything that's crazy going on. We think, how is this part of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement? Lord Chaitanya is living in, a much more pure Bharatvarsha 500 and more years ago, and we're living in. So he has seen the fallen souls of this age, because Krishna is seeing everything at all times, places, and circumstances. Nothing under the sun is outside of Krishna's control and jurisdiction. So Narottam Das Thakur says, I am a fallen soul of this age. Please save me from the influence of Kali Yuga. So he says something curious. You will not find a more fallen soul than me. Therefore, my claim is first. This is a very high devotional sentiment. One reason why it is because a devotee, an actual devotee, knows his business and is so much empowered by his very close relationship with Krishna that he can execute that business successfully. So it is a preacher's prayer that I am so fallen that I cannot properly execute the order of the Lord to act as his representative on his behalf and save the fallen souls. So he's saying, my claim is first. Not that I'm the most fallen, so I'm just concerned about me. That's everyone in the material world. Me, me, me. Me first, you second, or you last, or you not at all. It's all about me, you know. So our primary responsibility to our spiritual master is to bring the fallen conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. But the most important soul that you must bring back home, back to Godhead for the pleasure of your spiritual master is yourself. So how to equate those two terms? Like Vasudev Datta, I will stay in the material world. I will take all the sinful karma of all the fallen conditioned souls on my head. I will absorb it. I will take it and let them go. And Lord Chaitanya was so moved by this that by his intense desire to save the fallen conditioned souls, Lord Chaitanya assured it would be done, but you don't have to take their karma and be go to hell and suffer on their behalf. That is the potency of the Audarya mood, the true Audarya mood and compassion of the pure devotee. But in a sense, he does take that upon his head, the reactions of the fallen conditioned souls, by giving up his idyllic life of devotional service in the holy Dham, and he comes to the place of Malacha and Yavana Desh, comes to the Western countries. You are so kindly delivering these Western countries. Obeisances to you, O spiritual master, O servant of Saraswati Goswami. You are so kindly. In the memory series of put together so intelligently and wisely and timely by Siddhanta Prabhu, he was not considered a big devotee back in the day, but now, not a big GBC or guru, but everyone's feelings towards this devotee, Siddhanta Prabhu, who has done this incredible service, interviewing Srila Prabhupada's disciples over the last 30 years, is of such tremendous value and solace and instruction, so many things for the members of the Krishna consciousness movement, for the people of this world. Now these permanent audio visual recordings will be a very important part and parcel of the Krishna consciousness movement, ISKCON, for thousands and thousands of years. He would ask the devotees, what do you think is the most outstanding quality of Srila Prabhupada? This would be at the end of their interviews. And invariably, and so much of the time, it would be said, Prabhupada's compassion and his kindness. We just observed the departure of Gaur Sundar Prabhu. He was the husband of Govinda Dasi. They joined together in 1967, January, in San Francisco, and he did a lot of very valuable service up to a certain point when he went away. He left Krishna consciousness, or he left Srila Prabhupada's service at that time. And he came back. Prabhupada was in Hawaii. Shrutakirti tells this story. He was the servant secretary at the time. And he was aloof and not very responsive in that meeting with Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was remarking, what have I done? What could I have done differently? Why did you leave? And Shrutakirti was just like amazed. This person had, at the time, he had done some not very good things that affected the Hawaiian Yatra. But he wasn't even addressing him on these serious points, which the other devotees were aghast about and were demanding, the thing to be disentangled and set right. And Prabhupada didn't even get into that. He was just he just took the humble position. So Prabhupada's love for his disciples, an intense love for all living entities, the order of his spiritual master to preach in the West, and his understanding later instructed to him after Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada's departure to write books, and particularly write the Srimad Bhagavatam, translate the whole thing, all 18,000 verses, all 12 cantos. The desire to send Srila Prabhupada to the West on his behalf. He even stated, I wanted to preach 10 years in America, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati said. But the infighting in the Gaudiya Math has lessened my time on this planet. So he got his desire fulfilled through his disciple, our Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, plus 12 years. And again, out of all the places Prabhupada stayed, maybe arguably Los Angeles, on and off, maybe, probably, was the only other place Prabhupada stayed more than New York. Well, he stayed here continuously for 15 months, from October 1965 till January 1967. And if you want to add on the other visits and times Prabhupada was in New York, anyway, we can make a statistical analysis. So Prabhupada came here. He wrote in his diary on Gaur-Purnim Day in March 1967, the devotees of Navadvip are having a grand festival, and he saw during the time of his spiritual master, it was stressed that the Gaur-Purnim festival with the Sri Chaitanya Math, which he said is the very inner heart of the Gaudiya Math mission, that everyone should come unless they're engaged in essential services in the other 64 maths all around. So Prabhupada understood how valuable that opportunity to be in Mayapur during that time was. But I am sitting here, he didn't say, but we'll say West 72nd Street, on the Upper West Side at the corner of Columbus Avenue. I am here without any devotee companion. But I discount all the difficulties because I'm engaged in fulfilling the order of my spiritual master. It is another ambition of the spiritual master to see his disciples not only chant, dance, and follow the regular principles, just float your own boat, keep your own self alive, but also preach the Sankirtan movement to others in order to deliver them. For the Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principle that one should become as perfect as possible in devotional service oneself and also preach the cult for others' benefit. There are two classes of unalloyed devotees, namely Goshtiyanandis and Bhajananandis. Bhajananandi refers to one who is satisfied to cultivate devotional service for himself. So we shouldn't confuse great personalities in our parampara like Srila Gaura Das Babaji, Srila Jagannath Das Babaji, and in his later life, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur as being bhajan and nandis of the class who are only satisfied to cultivate devotional service for themselves. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was ordered by Lord Chaitanya to spend the remaining years of his life in a beachfront bhajan kutir at Jagannath Puri, and he ordered him simply, you continuously chant Hari Nam, because by that chanting you will deliver the entire universe. So sometimes we have a negative, or this word bhajananandi has a negative connotation in our, let's say, I don't want to say neophyte, but let's say not deeply realized minds. Of course, one who is just, I'm just going to, hear and chant and do my own thing, yes, that's not very good. That's an inferior position. Gostiyanandi is one who is not satisfied simply to become perfect himself, but wants to see others take advantage of the holy name of the Lord and advance in spiritual life. So this is the answer to how can I remain a devotee? How can I remain a brahmachari? How can I stay fixed up? You sacrifice yourself for others' benefit. And then Krishna will make 100% sure that you will not only just be okay, but you will achieve the highest position. That is what is described as sumedhasaha. Those with good intelligence, they will realize the value of this Sankirtan movement and focus exclusively on propagating it. He wants to see others, and how is it said, become perfect? And he wants to see others. How do they do that, become perfect? By taking advantage of the holy name of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya's program for everyone was massive chanting of the holy name for as many hours a day as possible. The outstanding example was Prahlad Maharaj. When he was offered a benediction by Lord Nrsingadev, Prahlad Maharaj said, Naivod vijay para diracha vaitaranyas tvadvirya gayana mamrita magnachita sochetato vimukta chetasa indriyarta maya sukaya baram udvahato vimudhan. My dear Lord, I have no problems. There's a very wonderful devotee named Mother Kolini. She was the wife of, who's still present, Keshava Bharti Maharaj. He took sannyas, and she more or less did the same thing. She wore white for the rest of her life, and she spent from that time in the late 70s as a very pivotal and essential devotee at Gita Nagari farm. And she was there when Satsvarup Maharaj became the initiating spiritual master. Satsvarup Maharaj wrote the Prabhupada Leelamrita there. Satsvarup Maharaj would take a walk around the Gita Nagari farm. It's a nice circumambulation walk. This is the late 70s, early 80s. And disciples of Satsvarup Maharaj would ask questions, and a lot of it will, I have this problem, or I have this anxiety, or this or that. And Mother Kolini she would just listen. She was just very devotionally and humbly taking part in that association of devotees. And she never asked a question until one day. And her question was, is it all right that I don't have any problems? Jayananda was asked, how do we make spiritual advancement? And his answer was, I don't know, Prabhu. I'm too busy doing devotional service to think about it. My dear Lord, I have no problems, and I want no benediction from you because I am quite satisfied to chant your holy name. This is sufficient for me. I don't need to be titillated or stimulated in this way, or I don't need anything extra. I don't need this diversion. This is sufficient for me. Because whenever I chant, I immediately merge in an ocean of transcendental bliss. I only lament to see others bereft of your love. They are rotting in material existence for transient material pleasure and spoiling their lives, toiling all day and night simply for sense gratification, with no attachment for love of Godhead. Prabhupada writes in one other place, I believe it's in this chapter, Lord Chaitanya's movement, Sankirtan movement, chanting the holy name, is so wonderful that it can inspire, influence, interest, use the word interest, all classes of men in the subject of love of Godhead. In Yamuna Devi's biography, the London period and meeting with George Harrison, and the rocket ship ride that they all went on by Prabhupada's mercy. After that, she called it, All You Need Is Love of Godhead. Beatles song, all you need is love. All together now, all you need is love, love, love is all you need. So all you need is love of Godhead. Where is that information? Can you go into the Strand bookstore on, how many miles of books do they have? I think they say like a huge number. If they put all the books and like measure them on miles and miles of books. You know, books from hundreds of years ago till now. Or let's go to the commercially palatable, up-to-date bookstore, Barnes & Noble, which is a good place to go to the bathroom in Union Square, just for your information. You want a sane, good place. You won't find it there. And not only do they not have the subject matter of love of Godhead, but they're averse to it. The holy name purifies them. I've been passing you people by for so many years. What is this all about? Prabhavishnu Prabhu was now the second initiated temple commander here. He was in such a status of life, for example. I am simply lamenting for them and devising various plans to deliver them from the clutches of Maya. Staying in this city, or any big city, or staying anywhere where fallen conditioned souls are, is an opportunity for you to enter into the mood of Lord Chaitanya, which is the mood of Audarya. If one says, let me dive deep into the loving movement of Lord Chaitanya, then at once one becomes an intimate servant of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan. That's Narottam Das Thakur's statement. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains in his Anubhasya, a person who has attracted the attention of the spiritual master by his sincere service likes to dance and chant with similarly developed Krishna-conscious devotees. So we want to associate with devotees who are cultivating that mood of compassion, not using the Sankirtan movement as like a fringe kind of way to exploit name, fame, profit, adoration, and distinction because of our so-called talents and abilities. We want to associate, we want to make a society, an association of compassionate welfare workers on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya who are going to put their money where their mouth is and do the real work and do the real thing and become agents, become representatives of our most illustrious and empowered saintly Guru Varga and save humanity. And like Prabhupada would say, historians will mark this time how the Krishna consciousness movement saved humanity in its darkest hour. This is a battle between the demons and the demigods. This is not a joke. This Kali Yuga has been advanced and accelerated so that Lord Chaitanya's movement can come into the forefront more quickly. So be part of the solution, not part of the problem. The spiritual master authorizes such a devotee. What is it? Okay, put a badge on you, you're deputized, you get an award, you get a name. No, you get spiritual potency, confidential potency, from the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency to do the real thing. The spiritual master authorizes such a devotee to deliver fallen souls in all parts of the world. Those who are not advanced prefer to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in a solitary place, or not put themselves, quote unquote, in harm's way. That's the Karmi's statement, or, we gotta get our boys out of harm's way, Prabhupada put himself, quote unquote, in harm's way. What's the opposite of harm? Complete security and peace of mind. I never felt alone. I always felt the association of him, my spiritual master. Therefore, I did not lose my enthusiasm despite all of my difficulties. Those who are not advanced prefer to chant the Hare Krishna mantra in a solitary place. What does Srila Bhaktisiddhanta have to say about this? Such activities constitute, in the language of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a type of cheating process, in the sense that they imitate the activities of exalted personalities like Haridas Thakur. One should not attempt to imitate such exalted devotees. Rather, everyone should endeavor to preach the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in all parts of the world and thus become successful in spiritual life. This is the guarantee of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. If just the lowest rank and file, quote unquote, humble brahmachari struggling all day would just be able to sell 2 or 3 Gaudiya Math public magazines, like a BTG. And when they would come back after all that hard work, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta would show them so much love and respect and say, "You are so nice." By this preaching and distributing books, Srila Prabhupada told his disciples, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will personally come and bring you all home back to Godhead. He also said, if you build a temple in Mayapur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and one time there was this incredible kirtan taking place in the temple room, which is now the bottom of the Lotus building, where now they have the dioramas of Lord Chaitanya. That was previously Radhamadava's temple room. If you go on having kirtans like this, Bhaktivinoda Thakur will personally come from the spiritual world and bring you all back home, back to Godhead. This is what they wanted. Now, we should keep in mind that this order had been for centuries. Bhaktivinoda Thakur prayed for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta to make to make he prayed to Lord Chaitanya to send someone from his personal staff. I am now too old. I cannot do. I'm turning it over to you, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And some years later, after Bhaktivinoda Thakur's departure in 1914, his beloved mother and wife of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the mother of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, very saintly Bhagavati Devi, on her departure bed, gave Srila Bhaktisiddhanta the emphatic order, please do this. And Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji, his spiritual master, ordered him also. It was burning bright, very intensely in the heart of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, how to do this. It must be done. So Srila Prabhupada is receiving this order, this intense desire from all of his predecessors. Srila Prabhupada, on one of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance days, he's saying that everyone wanted, for hundreds of years, from the time of Lord Chaitanya, one who is not very expert in preaching may chant in a secluded place. That includes chanting in a secluded place in a general means. I'm going to just, he probably would say in another place, just take care of yourself. Oil your own machine, you know. Just set up, try to the best of my ability, set up my life, set up the parameters and all the, put all of the integers and trying to make it exactly what I want to the best that I can. One who is not very expert may chant in a secluded place, avoiding bad association. Maya can even, bewilder your intelligence to the point where you think that the devotees who are actually trying their level best, they're bad association. I've been wronged in this way and that, and you have such a Maya. When a devotee is, there's a very nice verse in the Maharaj Parikshit Cursed by Brahmin Boy in the first canto, that devotees of the Lord are so forbearing that even though cheated, cursed, neglected, maybe a couple other things are done to him, he's not inclined to avenge himself. Or he's not going to let that become a source of discouragement. So in the name of avoiding bad association, you're avoiding good association. You are a senior member of this movement. You should work for the correction, but under no circumstances should you leave. That was Prabhupada's, one of his last instructions to His Holiness Giriraj Swami, who asked the question, how do we deal with controversies and arguments and problems after your departure and you're not here to settle them? That was his reply. But one who is actually advanced, preaching and meeting people who are not engaged in devotional service are not disadvantages. Actually, it's a great advantage. My dear Durvasa Muni, by doing this great offense, creating this big demon to try to kill Maharaj Ambarish, you have acted with self-envy. And here's the result, that you yourself are now about to be killed. The only advice I can give you is you must go to Maharaj Ambarish immediately, without a moment's delay, and beg forgiveness. Only in that way can you be saved. And Prabhupada's purport is very amazing. He says, That this Krishna conscious, Durvasa Muni, even though he's a great Brahmin and a mystic, he showed he doesn't know what's what and who's who. He didn't understand the greatness of Maharaj Ambarish and how much pleasure he was giving to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Offenses against devotees are serious. They ultimately are an offense against the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And Prabhupada says this Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt, that Krishna, he is self-sufficient, Atmaram. He doesn't need anyone to increase his pleasure. Yet at the same time, Krishna relies on his devotees to expand his pleasure potency more and more. He requires the cooperation of the devotees. Devotees like Nanda, Yashoda, the cowherd boys, the gopis, Srimati Radharani. They expand Krishna's pleasure more and more. This is what Krishna wants. Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, ever-increasing ocean of transcendental happiness. Kadambakana Maharaj, in his last message, he reminded us and revealed to us, to whatever degree we don't know, or refocused us on the great transcendental bliss that lies ahead. Don't become deviated. Don't fall off the path. Similarly, this Krishna consciousness movement is an attempt to increase the pleasure potency of the Lord more and more. The pleasure of the Lord. Why? By bringing more and more devotees for Krishna to enjoy. Anyone who takes part in this effort becomes automatically a controller of the Lord. The Lord is beholden to those devotees who engage in this activity. They are not meeting people who are not engaged in devotional service are not disadvantages, because by meeting them, they will become engaged in devotional service. In whatever fallen condition they are, that is the power of the holy name. Once uttered, once hearing, one's life is changed forever. Devotional service, one act of devotional service guarantees, more or less forces, another opportunity for devotional service, and another, and another. That's why it is so important that we go out as much as possible, every day, for as many hours as possible, to create those opportunities for devotional service for the mass of people. A devotee gives the non-devotees his association, but is not affected by their misbehavior. Thus, by the activities of a pure devotee, even those who are bereft of love of Godhead get a chance to become devotees of the Lord one day. In this connection, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur advises that one discuss in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Naitat Samaraj Jatu Manusapi, that's from 33rd chapter, 10th canto, Rasa Dance Introduction. Could you go look that up real quick? 10:33:30. And an opening verse from the second chapter of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And Ashaktasya Vishayan Yartaham Upayunjata Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagyam Uchate. One should not imitate the activities of great personalities. One should be detached from material enjoyment and should accept everything in connection with Krishna's service. What is 10:33:30? What is the English translation? Okay, yeah. That's Maharaj Parikshit asking the question on behalf of the materialist, how is Krishna dancing with other men's wives? One who is not a great controller should never imitate the behavior of ruling personalities, even mentally. If out of foolishness an ordinary person does imitate such behavior, he will simply destroy himself, just as a person who is not Ruja would destroy himself if he tried to drink an ocean of poison. So we can't imitate Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was given the direct order of Lord Chaitanya and the endorsement to chant at Jagannath Puri and Lord Chaitanya, and you do it in the place where I buried my beloved Haridas. So that Bhakti Kutir, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's place, is right near the Samadhi of Haridas Thakur. Those of you who have visited Jagannath Puri. So Lord Shiva drank the ocean of poison generated from the intense churning of the milk ocean. And that halahata poison was spreading. And Lord Shiva, with the permission of his wife Bhavani, who knew Lord Shiva's potency, he took in his palm and the whole poison throughout the entire ocean went, and he took it. And that's why he became Nilakant, blue-throated. And there's a beautiful verse. It is understood that great saintly persons always invariably accept suffering in order to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. Such activity constitutes the highest method of worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who lives in everyone's heart. Obeisances unto you, O spiritual master, O servant of Saraswati Goswami, you are kindly teaching the Gauravani, the message of Lord Chaitanya, and delivering these Western countries, which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. So you want to know how to come to the highest stage of devotional service? You want to understand the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna and the Madhurya Rasa of the gopis? You become a preacher and distribute Krishna consciousness to as many people as possible in your life. You sacrifice your life for that purpose, and rest assured, you're automatically guaranteed entrance into that topmost realm. Why? Because Krishna will be pleased with you. We can't build a Tower of Babel and break into heaven, break down the door. We have to be brought there. One false shruti of one Bhagavatam story. If one hears and chants this narration, one will be brought back home, back to Godhead, where he will be properly received and worshipped. So Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, they are leading the way. We simply have to follow this golden road of unlimited devotion, the Bhakti Marg that they have blazed, and do our level best. One who sacrifices his wealth, his words, his reputation, and his intelligence for the Sankirtan movement is most intelligent and glorious and is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others, by comparison, are considered to be foolish, because nothing can compare for a sacrifice to the Sankirtan movement. Srila Prabhupada amazed the devotees, knowing exactly where the Boston Commonwealth Pier was 3 years after he had been there, just walking off the boat for a brief tour of the immediate downtown area with the Captain Pandya in September 1965. He returned there. He spent a whole month of May 1968 in Boston. And at that time he said, we want a certificate from Krishna that this man has done something for me. We don't want popularity with people who are more or less just on the level of asses. If a pack of asses says that you're as good, what is that? We want a certificate that from Krishna that we've done something. Prabhupada said Yamaraj and Chitragupta, they keep the accounts of the sinful people very minutely, but for the devotees, Krishna personally keeps account. And Srila Prabhupada as the representative of Krishna, would never forget the service of a devotee and would always be grateful. That is a quality of Krishna. You can read in the Nectar of Devotion. Never forget. Always grateful. Those who are ungrateful to their benefactors and turn their back on them, not kill guru, become guru, feign some type of allegiance and discipleship or affection simply because they want to take your position. Not like that. So this Sankirtan movement is most pure, most purposeful. It is the supreme activity, and we should engage in it. Especially now. The urgency is great. If we don't do it, nobody will do it. Actually, it will be done. Lord Chaitanya can spread his name and fame like wildfire all over the world very, very quickly. But he's giving us the opportunity to shed gallons and gallons of blood to get the job done right. Blood, sweat, and tears. Because if we don't bleed and sweat and cry for Lord Chaitanya, then we'll do that. We'll bleed and we'll sweat and cry for Maya. So let's do that for Lord Chaitanya. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Radha Govinda ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.